Hey guys, and welcome to the continuation of a story we began over a year ago. Welcome to Let's Play Shadow Hearts 2, otherwise known as Shadow Hearts Covenant. This game is pretty much completely overhauled from the first one. It uses a new battle system, it uses a new art style, it uses full 3D environments instead of painted backgrounds. They have made a lot of changes under the hood of this game, and we're just going to skip all of the... there's like three, maybe even 4 different little intro movies they play. Most of them either just spoil the story flat out or, you know, just don't really give us any information that we need right now. So we're going to skip that. Sound on. There's not a whole lot of options here. I'm going to leave the subtitles on at the start. Keep your eyes on them because they are completely wrong more often than they're right. It's actually kind of funny. But the problem is they're actually kind of distracting. So typically I will leave subtitles on so that people can read if I have something that I really need to say and can't make myself shut up and say it over top of someone else who's talking in the game. But in this case, if they become distracting for you as they were for me when I was doing my test run, let me know and I will turn them off. Anyway, with that being said, let us begin a new game. By the way, if anyone else is playing along on PCSX2, there's only 2 options that I've set away from default with the latest version of the software. I've set it to switch from hardware to software anytime an FMV shows up, which in this game actually seems to work relatively well. The hardware version has a filter on it that you'll see when we actually get into gameplay, and things look quite a bit better. On a lot of the FMVs, they don't get upgraded very much from that anyway, and some of them will flicker instead of playing properly, so that's why I've done that. There's also one of the options that's set to full, one of the compilers in the main menu. One of them set to full, everything else is default. I'll put a little annotation on screen so you guys know which one that is. And let us begin. Now, shortly before this video will be uploaded for the first time, there will have been a bonus episode for the year-old Let's Play for the original game in this series. Well, the original Shadow Hearts game, anyway. And that was to tell you and to demonstrate what of the 2 endings from the previous game directly leads into this continuation story in Shadow Hearts Covenant. Domremy. As with other games in the Shadow Hearts series, it uses real-life locations, but the usual... Hello? The usual warning applies. These are not real people. We will get to see that by the time we get too far, don't you worry. In some senses, they do make a mockery of what the happened in real life, and in some cases they don't. You can tell we're a little on the dull color tone side right now. Don't worry, that isn't something that's maintained for the whole game. Coming from the first game, hearing this opening cinematic without any kind of idea of what's going on or any real music other than atmospheric seems kind of odd, considering we got a lot of atmospheric music in the first game. As you can see, the art has definitely been upgraded. Our new videos have a lot more realism to them than the previous game. Probably not a good sign. Now, I was talking over a lot of it, but there was breathing sound effects in the background. The audio levels for this game are kind of weird, so let me know if there's any audio leveling issues. I'm going to have to do a bunch of extra stuff in post to try and get the voice dialogue up to the same level as my voice so that it all comes through all right. So I'll have to play around with it. Let me know if there's any issues. It's almost like a horror film, and they're building up the tension for something that doesn't end up happening. Well, I don't know about you, but I'm sure I'd crap my pants. Don't mess with giant demon with wings. Sounds like a terrible idea. Oh yeah, your pea shooters are gonna do a lot against powerful demon. Uh-huh. I don't think anyone's buying that. They've made a lot of interesting directorial choices in this opening cinematic. And it feels very claustrophobic at times. Boom. Interesting. Saved. Or not. Protected and then dropped. Oh, hey, look, this is a Shadow Hearts game. Yeah, when you first watch this cutscene, it just like, wait, what's going on all of a sudden? And then, oh, okay, now there's something Shadow Hearts related. I got it.
That's as much as I can remember.
The following day, Lieutenant Koenig, you were found by the Metz Highway, along with Sergeant Robert and 8 survivors.
Yes, sir.
There's a lot more voice acting in this game. It's better, but it's still not
quite
good.
a story. but it seems we'll have to believe you.
Hello,
General,
Bato.
just give me another...
Lieutenant!
I love picking out voice actors.
Karen, I've already decided to do that. I'm sending you back to that village. But this time you'll be a guide.
Me, a guide?
Our forces invaded France from the north and have managed to push back the Western Front beyond the Meuse River. But that village alone has stubbornly refused to surrender to us, and continues to remain outside the Empire's grasp. Domremy may be beautiful, but it has absolutely no strategic value to us. But for the honor of the Empire, we must not allow anyone or anything to stand against us. Even if we have to face a demon itself. Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
So there are two different types of cutscenes. There's this type of cutscene, which is primarily using the same models and just having voiceovers.
This is Cardinal Nicholas Conrad. He's come all the way from the Vatican.
And then there are full CG cutscenes. This type can still be played without changing back to software settings in PCSX2. The cinematic kind, unfortunately, must be switched back.
1915. Early spring. The world is in the middle of a huge upheaval. It started with a single shot, and the fire of war spread within a single instant. All of Europe was engulfed, and the struggle soon grew into the first worldwide war the human race had ever known. From a corner of this battlefield, our story begins once again.
Well, we finally got the music going. Shadow Hearts has always had fantastic music. First game was great, this game is great. There's some direction choices that I don't necessarily agree with in this game, but we'll get into that. And hello, some of this looks familiar. Alright, so the world map is a little bit different this time around. Pressing triangle button pulls up the menu, as it's always done, and as is typically the case with long cutscenes, my controller falls asleep. So yeah, here's our menu. We have a couple of characters here. We have Karen, who seems to be our lead thus far, and we have Nikolai. As with the previous game, I'm going to try and show off as much of the flavor text and the little art assets, I guess you could call them, you know, the little pictures they have to describe each of the items, because they spent a lot of time and effort going into actually putting all this stuff out there, and I think it's at least worth showing off, even if I don't plan on reading all of the flavor text this time around. Alright, so some basic stuff. Void of rank or insignia. Interesting. Or a female officer of the German military. As you could probably decipher from her last name, Karen is part of the German military here, and she holds the rank of lieutenant. All right, so we got that. Yeah, that's about it. Let's go to our first location, Apoinia Tower.
Is this your first time at the Vatican?
Yes.
I need to do some careful preparation before we go to Domremy. There's a certain item that I must have in order to complete this mission.
A certain item?
Yes, a sort of good luck charm. It's used for exorcisms.
And that's where we're going now?
Yes, it's inside Atonement Tower. Also known as the Tower of Atonement. It seems you know of it. For many, many years, dangerous heretics and others like them were kept imprisoned there. It's filled with the spirits of those who went mad from the torture. That's why it's a safe resting place for the item that I seek.
But why am I coming?
Well, to get to the top of the tower, I need your help. I'll feel much safer if you're with me.
So earlier on in that conversation, there was already a line where the subtitles were different. Not much different, but it gets more common and it gets worse, so that like the meaning seems to have changed. It almost seems like the subtitles were more of a direct translation, while the actors were allowed to improvise in their delivery of the lines. So it's not like I have a problem with like allowing the voice actors to do this. It's more that it's distracting because they're not the same. So I wish they would have updated the subtitles to match what the characters are actually saying. All right. Is it? Filled with monsters in the Vatican. That's not ominous at all. Why are there monsters in the Vatican? Should be a snap, huh? Alright, let's go. And of course, the very first thing we're going to do, because this is a jrpg, we're going to walk into tutorial battle. We're actually going to go over the tutorial just because it's a good way of me going about a lot of the same stuff. So anyway, it'll show demonstration on there. So yeah, normal attacks. We'll just go over this relatively slowly here just to understand things. Judgment Ring, just like in the previous game, though the ring has been tweaked and it's more difficult to get used to and takes a long time to get used to after coming from the first game. But after you get used to it, it's a lot easier. It just takes quite a while to get there. In my test run, it took me probably a good half of the game, a third to a half of the game to really get good at the Judgment Ring. And now that I'm somewhat competent at it, we will hopefully do better this time around than I did my test run. Anyway, so yeah, hit areas deal hit damage, and the red area, or those are the orange areas, by the way. And then at the end, we have the red strike areas. And these will increase your attack. So you have your basic hit damage, and then you have your strike damage. Strike damage should be 120% of the base hit damage. So the game does that one automatically. Alright, and it's still a demonstration. Now, one of the glitches involved in emulating this game is sometimes the background will be turned black when the ring comes up. Other than, like, that's the only one I can't do anything about fixing, and it's better now than it used to. It used to display like half of an image, and it looked kind of weird, and then the other half would be black, but anyway. So anyway, we continue to hit. Each character has a different number of hit areas on their ring, and if you miss any, you'll perform fewer attacks. See, if you miss that one, we only get one attack instead of both. Alright, special abilities. Nikolai has special abilities called White Magic, so we want to use that. We have Blessed Light. And it has a hit area, kind of like Chrono Trigger in that sense, where it'll hit enemies in an area of effect on the screen. Now here, we have green parts that are called steps. You just have to hit those, it doesn't matter where, just like the previous game. And then the blue section is a modulate area. Basically, you should never do it anywhere except for like basically the very end or the strike zone anyway. But there is a modulated percentage. The sooner you hit it, the lower your damage is. It actually will display a number if you do really badly at the ring and it's not right at the end. But that should basically never happen. Anyway. Okay, the game did that one for me as well. I was sitting there like, well, our first hit seemed to line up. Alright. There are other types of rings throughout the game. Of course there are. Same basic rules apply. Try to hit the ring. That's the end of this part of the battle tutorial. Now, you'll notice a new thing. We have a turn priority, kind of like, what other game had this? Like, Final Fantasy X had this. I think one of the Xenosaga games had this, maybe, if I remember correctly. It's been a while since I played those. Anyway, let's go here, finish off this enemy here.
All we can do is go.
Now, I'm going to try and not do that, but I have a habit of spamming the button at the end and skipping the little flavored dialogue that the characters have at the end of fights. But I will try and let them speak if I can remember to do so.
Those were easier than most. Are you all right?
I'm fine.
Doesn't want to appear weak. We have a character trait for our character. How cool. Alright, first things first. Learn to run. Unfortunately, Nikolai kind of runs like an idiot. Alright, there's two types of items that you'll... Actually, technically there's three, but there's two main types of items that you'll see. One is a question mark or an exclamation mark above your head, a la Final Fantasy IX, where there's nothing physical on the ground that you would see. And the other is a treasure chest, which is what you will see right up here. All right, some basic items here. All right, now over here, you see there on the mini-map up in the top left, the red bar, and there's another red bar here. We can't go to either of those locations. We can't backtrack and we can't go over here. It just says the door is firmly locked, which is weird because whenever you see a door locked, it's like, okay, I'm going to come back here at some point and there's going to be a reason for it. It just hides two treasure chests. It's really weird. Anyway, we can learn about combos, so let's do that. Now, combo is something that they've added to this game to make it more dynamic and to add more creativity and more customizability to the combat system, and I definitely approve. At the start of the game, you could basically ignore it and it doesn't matter at all, but if you keep using it throughout the game, it becomes a bigger payoff the longer you keep using it. So, I will go into more details a little bit later, but for now, here you select combo and you have two options. If you do nothing with your combo, you'll just be there and you'll be behind the next character when they go to attack. I'll get into more of that in a little bit later since they're going over something else. You can either choose hit the enemy in the air, hit them down, hit them hard, which sends them back, or just do a standard hit. 99% of the time you're going to do a standard hit, so don't worry about the other ones. They're more annoying than they are helpful. So anyway, so they're going to make us do a high angle here, and what that's going to do is it's going to knock the enemy into the air. Every time you try and do a combo, you'll have combo trial appear on the screen, and you'll have to press the button, one of the face buttons of the PlayStation controller on there. It's only one of the 4 buttons. You usually have enough time to do it. You should get it, 98% of the time. So I wouldn't worry too much about that. You have to press the same button as shown before it stops spinning. You fail at the combo ring, it's a combo break and the combo ends. So here we've knocked the enemy into the air. Other members involved in the combo will automatically get their turns. If you fail, then everyone behind you will lose their turn. Anyone that's involved in the combo will lose being part of that combo, and the next person on the turn order in the top left will go. So in this case, if I had failed that ring that the game did automatically for me, Nikolai would have lost his turn, and the monster that is indicated by A would have gone instead. The game's going to attack for me. Now, you see the combo number there, +1. When you do combo attacks, you build up additional damage from the combo. And the higher affinity between your characters, which is something I'll get into later, will determine the amount of combo damage you get. The number of hits also does affect this as well. Yeah, it increases as the number of hits go up, so great way to attack, specifically for bosses, but it's good to build them up in normal battles so that you're more efficient when it comes to bosses as well. There's a shortcut function that I never use. Yeah, so there's that. I wouldn't... It's a pain. Don't worry about it. Just do your things the same way you always do them and you'll be fine. Yeah, so we're just going to ignore the combo switch feature. It doesn't matter. Anyway, that's the end of the combo tutorial. They will attack us. Now, just like the previous game, we have different different stats here. So we can see down at the bottom right, we have HP, hit points, we have MP, magic points, and SP, which stands for sanity points. If you'll notice up in the top, Karen's portrait gets red. After you have used, you expend 1 sanity point per turn in battle. Once you run out, you go berserk. You don't want to go berserk. Sure, why not? We'll combo again. So there, we knocked you up, and now we'll finish you off. I almost missed that.
I pray for their souls.
You pray for their souls? Do you now? Alright. I believe there's one more tutorial battle that we need to go through. There's only those 2 items on the first floor. Alright, there was actually a director's cut edition of this game, which goes over a couple of other things, and there's an additional dungeon and some other stuff, but it's Japanese only, and while there may or may not be a any type of English patch for it, I've never looked into it, and this is the version I've played each time I've played. It's the version I own, so... Okay, so we've got normal battle again. Now, here's an interesting note here. If you look at the turn priority up at the top, we have Nikolai here going first. Now, if I do a normal attack, see how each... Oops, I bumped the mic. Each attack that you can do, whether it's an attack, whether it's magic, whether it's an item or defend, will determine when he's going to get his next turn. So if I defend, I'll get another turn before the enemies go. If I use an item, I'll get another turn before the enemies go. If I use magic, I don't. If I use an attack, I don't. So the idea here is I would like to combo. And then we're going to have Karen attack. Do you have enough damage to take you out? Probably. Okay, good. The Revenant guys, I think they have 17 HP, and these guys have 25. So now that I've hit once, I would like to do some additional damage here. Not quite. I don't think if I had even perfected that, I would have got it to work. But anyway, we're just going to finish this guy off now. Not worried about going for the perfect. I'm not going to get anything out of it.
May they receive God's mercy.
Okay. Now, An interesting thing about this is...
Many have been imprisoned
Okay, fine.
and died here over the years. Noblemen who lost in battle. Tragic princesses who were thought to have died of illnesses. You can still feel their malice.
Ooh, there's a Shadow Hearts word for you.
I knew it.
What is it?
I'm not sure. But when I met that demon in Domremy, I didn't sense the malevolence that I feel from the people in this tower.
Huh. Could it have been because you were so afraid, then?
That may be part of it, but... he... was beautiful.
Well, she's smitten
Interesting
already.
word to use.
Also,
Also?
he seemed sad.
The demon seems sad. Demon also protected you. Okay, menu. But I can't do it yet. We'll do that in a minute. Never mind. First things first, treasure chest over here. Monolith. And up over here. Or we can have a battle. That's fine too. Well, we keep getting first strikes. That's not bad. So let's combo on Karen again. And we'll try and take down this guy. My brain stopped working for a second. I almost didn't press the right button. Alright. Yeah, not quite enough damage to finish off those guys. I think Nikolai has slightly more damage than Karen does. There we go. But still not enough to take those guys out in one hit.
Face me.
And again, I'm skipping over that dialogue at the end. That's my bad. Alright, here's another treasure chest. Hit area expand. I wonder what that does. And before we can answer that question, we go over here and they answer it for us. Oh, spoilers, they answer it for us here. I am the Ring Soul, the will of the Judgment Ring, the administrator of all fate. Okay. This is new. The world drowns in its own history. In this time, you must carry the burden of fate. Oh, apparently that's going to happen now. I can see the future. Whoa. This I entrust to you. Attack boost. Coolio. The power to command the Judgment Ring. Such power will help you carve your way through destiny. I'm not going to read all the dialogue in this game because there's too much of it, but this guy says this stuff like 15 times throughout the game. So, yeah. Judgment Ring has the power to change the world. Fate only allows a straight path if it is used well. He's mumbling some bullshit right now. To be quite honest, he is. There's nothing more to say. I will appear to you again to bestow upon you more power. Assuming you find the locations that he's at, which of course I will be going over. We're going to get all the treasure that I know of, even some less conventionally recognized treasure that you probably wouldn't be even realize that you had missed. We'll get into it, don't you worry. But anyway, that was a thing. You should be honored being chosen like that. Don't keep your new power all to yourself. But I want it! Alright, ring customization allows you to enhance Battle Judgment Ring with ring items. For example, you can change ring areas to set up auto ring. Do you want... Hopefully, I didn't say no, I wanted to say no. The dialogue appeared too fast. Alright, I'm going to skim through this because it doesn't matter. Unfortunately, it's slow. I'm going to cut this out. Well, I guess you can kind of see what it does, so maybe I'll leave it in. But yeah, basically you have spots for hit areas and spot for strike areas. You can enhance the amount of size that they are on the ring, just like aromatherapy, or not aromatherapy. what was it? The acupuncture system from the previous game. You can use attack boost to increase the amount of attacks you have on the Judgment Ring. I could have gone through this faster if I remembered to press the button, but you know. You also have add-on effects, which add status effects to your rings. You also have ring types, which I am going to go over myself because the game does not give you a proper explanation of how this works, and I had to do my own research. Basically, there are 4 different types of rings here. We have normal ring, which is normal. We have practice ring, which has no strike areas, but if you hit the, if you miss a judgment ring or one of the hit areas, the ring keeps going. So you don't automatically miss out on all subsequent hits with the ring if you miss like an early one, which would have happened on the normal one. Auto ring does the thing for you. Gamble ring will put all of your hits into a single... Gamble ring puts everything into a single hit area. That's not what I wanted to put it on. Thank you very much, video game. No. Please. Wanted the explanation. It's also far faster than any other ring. That was the only thing I couldn't remember for sure about this. Now, here, I'm going to get into a little bit of an explanation here on damage. Normal ring has... Let's say that you only have 1 hit area for now. Just say this. We only have 1 hit area for now. All of our damage is going to come from that 1 hit. If we add a second hit, now we need to put this back on normal. Okay, there we go. Now our damage is not, we're not doing 100% damage times 2. We're splitting our damage between the two hit areas. The amount of damage increase by adding a single hit is typically about 10%. So assuming this is your baseline of 100%, that's 110%, that's 120%. Depending on the character, they can get up to 3 or up to 4 or up to 5, depending on which type of character it is. There are characters that specialize more in magic, they only go up to 3. There are mixes, which go up to 4, and there are physical-based fighters that go up to 5. So even at 5 hits, that's 140% of the base damage. The thing is, that's not really all that good. Now, the reason that's not all that good is because of ring types. Technical ring, as you can see here, shrinks the hit area and the strike area. However, what it does, and what the game does not tell you precisely what it does, although hard, this ring allows for extremely powerful attacks. But it doesn't change the amount of hit damage you do from hitting the orange part. It only affects the strike zone. So it shrinks the strike zone and forces you to hit it. In addition to that, if you, say we put it on that, and then we have multiple attacks, if you miss any of the hit areas on the ring, you miss the entire thing. You do no hits for the entire thing. On normal, anything that you hit before you missed, you would at least get to do that. And of course, with practice, it would keep going and you would give it a chance. So you could say hit your first hit and your third hit. But on a normal ring, if you hit your first ring, miss the second ring, you hit once. On technical, you hit the first ring and miss the second ring, you do no attacks at all. So it's a lot more technical, hence the name, and it's actually better in almost every way as long as you're competent enough with the ring to do it. In my test run, I didn't get around to actually implementing it until about a third of the way through, just because I was getting used to the Judgment Ring again. And it's a lot different from the first game. So anyway, a strike on normal mode. So we're back on normal. A strike deals 120% of the hit damage. On technical, we deal an additional 120% of that strike damage. So that additional 20% damage that we're dealing, we deal another 20% on top of that. So to make it easier to understand, a technical strike on, say, only a single ring is 144% of base damage. Considering that if we had 5 rings on normal and we didn't hit any of the strike zones, which you're not likely to do on a 5-hit ring anyway, it's already more damage than that. Now, the way it works is later on we're going to get spells, and if you remember spells from the first game, they did 30%, and if you hit the strike zone, they did 36% of whatever buff they're working on. However, turn on Technical Ring, that jumps up to 43%, which is a substantial boost over the base amount. So you're going, a full 13% over the base value and an additional 7% over top of what you would have got on normal ring. Now, I tested this out partway through the game, and I attacked the same enemy in different battles without leveling up in between. I did a normal ring of 5 strikes for a perfect and made that my baseline of 100%. I did a normal ring with 3 strikes. Yeah, that first ring with 5 strikes, that's a normal ring. A normal ring with 3 strikes did about 15% less. A technical ring with only 1 hit area on it. And that normal with 3 strikes, that was with only 3 hits on the ring. A technical ring with only 1 strike on there did the same amount of damage as a normal ring with 3 strikes on it, so a perfect. A technical ring with 3 strikes did as much damage as a normal ring with 5 strikes. So the amount of damage you can get, based comparatively speaking to how easy you want to make the ring for yourself, actually does matter here. And in fact, the way I'm going to play this game is a little different than you might expect. We're actually going to go for a single hit area, and we're going to put it on technical. Not only does this affect our physical attacks, but our special attacks and our magic as well. But the thing that makes this so beneficial is it makes it a lot easier to get perfects, and about 2/3 of the way through the game, there is a reward for having a 65% or higher perfect rate. In my Shadow Hearts 1 Let's Play, I think I had about 23% perfect rate. It's a lot easier in this game, on top of the fact that you can make it even easier for yourself by doing Technical Ring and getting used to it. So anyway, long explanation aside, we're going to use Technical Ring and a single hit. Now, other thing I want to do is I kind of designed where I like my attacks to be on each character. So we're going to move the Judgment Ring. Like basically using the hit ones, you're not using that to increase the hit area because hit area is already big enough to hit. What you're doing is you're moving the strike zone, and when you move the strike zone, it just puts it in a spot that for you in particular works best. So in my case, I eventually wanted to get her up to 6 hit area expands, but I don't have that yet. So we're just going to do, we're going to go 3 and 1 for now, and I will eventually get used to that. All right, so we got that. That's all set up. Now, if we look at our white magic here, we can see our ring here. Now, one thing of note, we change your ring effects here and put you on technical. See how much it shrinks things by? It also completely removes the modularity part of this. If you hit the blue area in general, it does full damage. And the thing is, I find this is almost easier. It really is for me because I'm not going to hit the massive area anyway. It just doesn't matter. So we're going to, yeah, you can go on that, whatever. And we're going to leave you on technical as well. And I got all the things there, so let's move on. Yeah, I'm sorry for the long, drawn-out explanation of how things work. I will kind of get into it a little more over time. Hello, door with hands on it. This door is also sealed. Okay. Over here, we have treasure chest. Painting a pure leaf. And over here, I think there's a whole lot of nothing. But I do want to fight at least one more battle here. So we're going to combo up. And now our base damage, if we don't hit properly, is going to be lower. However, as long as we're able to hit, you can see that the amount of damage that we're actually outputting is higher than it was a moment ago. And this does make things a little bit, it's both easier and more difficult, because it's a little more difficult to set things up and get used to the Judgment Ring, but once you do, the game's actually easier this way. And so I'm going to go over strategies that would work whether you're using the strategy or not, but just keep in mind that this is a more efficient strategy for how you play. Oh, I missed. I'm sad now. I'm sad now. Oh, I pressed the button again. I'm so used to spamming the button. Okay. Important thing, Karen levels up. We need Karen to level up here. That would be important. Alright. Is that item here yet? Yes, it is. We got a tent. Go figure. A tent in an RPG. What do you think it does? Same thing it does in every RPG you get one in. Full healing, HP, and MP, and status. Not that statuses are taken out like after battle or anything like that, but anyway. Well, that's all I wanted to go over for the first episode. We made it to the first save point, and next time we're going to continue on from here and see if we can get this item that Nikolai is looking for. That's all for this one, and I'll see you guys next time.